And we're actually live. It's
There
10
we go.
seconds into our live stream. So
We
for
were
those
live before, John.
we were live. We were live. All right. Well, welcome to the call, everybody. If you are here and you can see us and hear us, let us know by leaving us a comment in the chat here. We're streaming to multiple channels here. So we got you on Facebook, we got you on YouTube, we got you on our live stream page, maybe more. I can't even keep track of it anymore. So wherever you are, there should be some place that you can leave us a comment, say something in the chat. Maybe there's a like button, maybe there's a heart button. Something's there to let us know that you're here with us. We can always see a number of people watching, but we don't know who you are unless you type something. So you can be a fly on the wall, you can be anonymous, or you can just say hi, and then we can say hi back. So this is John and Travis, and we're here in this group every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're on live with us, if you don't know what to say in the chat, just say live, L-I-V-E. I'm here live. Or maybe you're watching the replay. You can just type the word replay. And either way, that helps us know who you are, that you're here. Travis, you made a good point that sometimes people ask for the replay. We just want to make sure you got it.
Yeah.
So let's just type your name in there, and then we're like, okay, cool. You got it.
Yeah. Our goal is to get you what you asked for. So
that's right.
Just want to make sure you're getting it.
For sure. So this is an exciting live stream. I'm pumped about this one because we're taking a little bit of a different angle on things today. And we're going to be talking about if you're already running your own ads, what should you be doing? What should you be looking for? What are some pillars for running your own ads? What are some things that we teach a lot of school owners how to run their own ads. And we have a few pillars that we basically say prop up the stool, if you will, right? There's always at least three, right? And these are the three big ones we're going to be talking through today. So I'm excited about that. And so maybe you've been running your ads for a while and you're just kind of like spending money and you're not sure like even how to measure success. Or you're like, I think the ad's working. I don't really know. We talk to a lot of school owners kind of in that same position. So we're going to help give you some clarity on this call today and actually show you what you should be looking for. And hopefully that helps you out. And maybe you've been running your ads for long enough where you're like, look, I need some help with this. And if you need some help, definitely stick around for this live stream. But if you're like, I would love to get on the phone with you guys, just type the word game in the comments right now. And we're happy to get on the call and just answer some questions for you and give you an idea of what it would look like to work with us more directly and actually use some of the frameworks that we use and use some of the actual templates and everything that we use in teaching school owners how to run their own ads.
Yeah. And if you're not running your own ads, maybe this is a realization for you that, oh, I didn't know that was even like something that people do, or you've thought about running. Even this is all valuable to you too. Or even if you're paying someone, this is valuable because if they're not doing these things, if you have an agency or someone that you hired or a staff member or a friend who knows the internet doing these things for you, these are things that you need to know as an owner of your business, as an owner of your school. So no matter what, if you're not running your own ads, you can, and we're going to talk about kind of what that looks like as well in the process. But these are all valuable pieces of information, even if you're paying someone else, because you need to know some of these things that they might not be sharing with you to make sure that whatever you're doing is successful. Because really, like we say in a lot of our live streams, our goal is to equip you to be more in control of your business and to be more in control of how many students come in the door. Whether that's if you've hired someone to help you with that, if you're doing it by yourself, our goal is to equip you to reach your goals, just like your goal is to equip your students to reach their goals. So we're aligned in that vision, and that's really what we want to do today. So if you're excited, go ahead and type I'm ready. If you're ready to hear this brand new really take on things, to dive a little bit deeper into what it looks like if you're running your own ads or if you want to run your own ads, just type the word ready if you're ready to hear what these really important key indicators are going to be for the success of your marketing. Just type the word ready. So that way we know, hey, this is something that's valuable to you that we can provide some insight for.
Yeah, love it. So also, if you are running ads or maybe you've thought about doing your own ads yourself, I'm curious if you would just go into the comments right now and just maybe ask some questions about things you've been curious about. You know, one of the biggest values of these live streams in this group is actually to just have access to us. Not to say that we're just like some awesome gurus and we just, know everything, but we have a lot of experience with this. We've helped, over 425 schools enroll over 33,000 paying students. So imagine we're sitting down for coffee and you found out like, hey, John, Travis, this is great coffee, but I heard that you helped 425 schools enroll 33,000 students. what's the secret? How did you do that? We
Yeah.
want to answer that question for you, but you got to ask the questions.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're just going to tell you what we think you want to know. So I would love to get those questions in here. And we're going to be running through some of the stuff that I know is super important for anybody running ads. And I think, like you said, Travis, a lot of people are missing this, even some of the gurus and some of the agencies. They don't really go over this stuff with you. They'll just be like, well, your ad budget needs to be this. And that's really more of a way for them to justify what they're charging. And I understand that's a business model. I personally, I don't think it's the right business model for a school that has less than like 150, 200 students, because it really doesn't make a lot of sense to be paying somebody to do something that's so easy and takes so
Right.
little time. And really, I think that's one of the main things that people worry about is, all right, I already am feeling too busy running my school and cleaning up puke and doing all the stuff that we do as school owners, that now I have to add this whole other thing that's a career of marketing and doing all this content and making all these videos and changing all these things. And what we've really figured out is we've got a framework and a template and a structure that really only requires, once you have everything set up, I'd say what, 5 to 10, 15 minutes the most per day.
Yeah,
Um,
5 to 10. And even if you're a big school with 150, 200 plus students, why not just have one of you probably have employees, why not just have someone in-house? Wouldn't you rather pay your employee more and also have someone that's working for the business that you want to grow, that cares about the business that they want it to grow too? You're all together. I love having people on the same team in that, right? So even
yeah.
if you're a larger school, there's no reason you can't just take one of your current employees and have them learn this process and really, like John said, spend 5 to 10 minutes a day
Yeah.
maintaining the growth of your school. So
I mean, it's really not much at all. In fact, when we were an agency, we could manage just me and Travis. Actually, I was mainly managing all of the ads myself, and I was probably working a few hours a day on the whole process as far as like management. And we had like, I think, me personally, I was managing like 55 or 60 schools just myself.
yeah,
Course, I'm an expert. I've got the training and I know how to. I can't say that you'll be able to learn this and go manage 55 or so schools. But at the same time, knowing that for you to just have one or maybe two locations, maybe even
right.
three locations, the amount of time it takes to do it is really not that much time. And so, there's a lot of moving parts for an agency owner. Obviously, they have to charge more because they've got a team to thing, and then they have to market their own business. And they have all sorts of other things that they're doing, which is why they have to charge what they charge. I understand that. It makes sense to me. I'm not saying it's a ripoff. What I'm saying is, as a school owner, the time investment is super low. The barrier of entry as far as the challenge in tech and the challenge in understanding can be made super low if you understand a few key things that we're going to go over with you here today. And then if you want more like hands-on training on the process, that's what we're experts in. You can just type the word game in the comments right now and we'll set up a call to show you what that looks like. But really, let's talk about the three main pillars, if you will. I'd say the number one thing, if you're going to be running your own ads, if you are already, or if you're thinking about it, is knowing your numbers. And there's a few numbers that we need to know. The fancy marketing word is KPI. That stands for key performance indicators. And it's really just a fancy way to say stuff we look at. What numbers are we tracking? Right. So knowing your numbers, number one important thing. I'm going to go over some specific numbers that you need to know. And then really having an offer. One of the questions we get so many times. In fact, Travis and I were speaking at a event with a bunch of school owners, and we did our little presentation, and then we said, does anybody have any questions? And somebody said, what's the best offer that's working right now? As if we had some kind of way to like look around the corner. I love that expression. I always like to have somebody looking around the corner and seeing what's the cutting edge of things. Well, let me tell you, we've been running the same offer for 5 years in over 400 schools. It's still working. And in fact, the same kind of offer has been working in schools for probably the last 25 years. Just it wasn't on Facebook and it wasn't on Google. It was in a different format, but it's the same offer. So there's certain core things that just don't have to change because they just work. And we're going to go over that with you here. And then really the third thing, and it's just equally as important, is having a process to convert strangers into paying students, essentially, right? It's having a step-by-step, a path for that student to go from being maybe a little curious about your classes to maybe giving you some information about themselves, to maybe giving it a try, to maybe signing up as a paid student, and then to maybe stick with it long term. That's sort of the path, right? So we have to be able to nurture that path. We have to make sure that we're asking them to make a commitment at the right time,
Mhm.
right? You can't just have somebody early on in the process and jump to the end because they're not ready for that path. And that's where a lot of the gurus get it wrong. And what they want to do is speed up that process. Everybody thinks that speed is better. I disagree with that. I think the right decision is when you catch the people at the right time and you understand where that timing is in that process, right? It would be like
Mhm.
if you met somebody in a dating app and like the first message you sent was, "Hey, would you like to get married tomorrow?" It just doesn't make any sense, right? In that regard. You can't and I think people to giggle about that, but then they put an ad up for sign up for 200 a month. And they think people are just going to be like, "Oh, let me do that. Click. Here's my credit card." Right? There's a decision-making process. And when you get it wrong, here's how you know. You get what the sales gurus like to call objections, right? You get and then they want to train you on how to overcome objections and how to use tie downs. And like, who wants to do that?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a really dialed in process just to be able to have natural reasons and natural conversations with people. So that way you can just teach classes, which is why you opened your school to begin with, right? So, what do you say we dive in, John? Knowing your numbers, anytime we put money into a paid marketing, we need to know exactly what we can afford because we want this to be an investment, not an expense. I always say an expense, hey, it goes out the window, it never comes back. An investment goes out the window and comes back with babies, comes out back with some grandbabies. So, um, how do
Exactly.
you, as you start to run your own ads, what kind of numbers, how does that all kind of factor in?
Yeah. So we have lots of tools for this, but I'd say there's four main numbers that you need to know. So if you're taking notes, these are definitely the writer
I
downers.
was going to say, yeah, write this down for sure.
Write this down for sure. Yep. So the first one is, what are your goals? I mean, that's important to know, right? You can't just be like, I need more students, because if you don't know where the goal is, you don't know where the milestones are, right? And in our training, we actually have a few milestones throughout the process. And so really the first thing we want to know is like, what is your long-term goal? By the end of the year, how many students do you want to have? And then, of course, base goals inside the goals, we need to know where you're starting from. So, how many students you have right now, and how many do you want to have? And then, where's the gap? So, let's say, for example, you have 50 and you want to have 150. That's 100 students. Well, how do you get to 100 students? It's kind of the same way that you eat an elephant, one bite at a time, right? You just chunk it down. So, if your goal is 100 students, how many students is that in a month, Travis? Like 8 or 9?
8 or 9, yeah.
8 or 9 students a month. Okay. So now it's manageable, right? How many is that per week? Like 2 or 3?
Hmm.
Yeah. So 2 or 3 a week. So now how do we get to that point? Well, the other thing we need to understand is if you have 50 now and you want 150 by the end of the year, we also have to know another number. So here's the next writer downer is, what is your attrition rate? And that's another fancy word. The opposite of that would be retention. What's your retention rate? How many people stick around? How many are quitting on a monthly basis? It's important to know that, because if you're losing 5 students a month and you want to add 8 or 9 a month, we actually have to add 14 a month, right? So that matters. That number actually makes a difference on your goals. And so if we don't know your goals, how can we set a budget? If we're like, I want more students, how much should I spend on ads? How many more students do you want? Right? It's like, I want to shoot a bow and arrow. Okay. Where's the target? I don't know. Just shoot the bow and arrow. It doesn't make any sense. You got to have a target. You got to have goals. And you got to know how many people are going out the back door. That's the attrition number. That's number 2. The third number that we need to know is, how much are you charging? So how much are you charging per month? How much are you charging if you offer like a paid trial, which we highly recommend having a 1-month paid trial that includes some kind of freebie that makes that student feel like part of the class. It should act like a totem. In other words, when they put this on, they're like, I am a student at the school. And so typically it's some type of like something they wear. But anyhow, we want to know how much you're charging per month and how much you're charging for that trial, because those are important numbers, which helps us understand how much can we actually afford to acquire a new student. And really, then we can kind of reverse engineer that to how much can we pay per lead on Facebook. And a general rule, here's another. So those are your 4 things. So if you're taking notes, knowing your numbers is the big header. The 4 bullet points are: what are your goals? What's your attrition rate? In other words, how many students quit per month? What's the percentage? How much are you charging per month and for your trial? And then how much can you afford to pay for a new student? And so typically what I like to say is I can afford to pay. This is a good rule. You don't have to follow this, but I can afford to pay what my first month's enrollment is, because I know if I can spend, like Travis said, if I can spend $100 and I can bring in $100, that basically I got a new student for free. And then next month, they're going to pay me what? $150 next month. So every month you're adding students, you're adding to your revenue, but it's not actually costing you any money in that first month. If you go net from the 30-day period, you're putting money in, you're getting money out, and then you're increasing your revenue every single month. Yep. So those are kind of some of the numbers. As far as reverse engineering, I'll take it one step further. If you're writing this down, this is a good number to know. About 1 out of 10 leads, if you have, first of all, a great offer and a good conversion process, which we're going to get into next. If you have a great process, 1 out of 10 leads should become a student. That should be your goal. So if you get 10 leads, 1 of those should become a student. And so that's an easy number. If you know you can afford to spend $200 to enroll that first student, then you know that your lead cost really shouldn't go above $20, right? Make sense? It's a nice, easy round numbers. There's some exceptions to that. If you're using our process, we actually use the trial money to pay for the ads. So we don't even get into that first month. But if you want some more insight on that, definitely, if you need to know your numbers, we actually have a thing called our 10X game plan. If you want a copy of that 10X game plan, it's a calculator where you can punch in these numbers and actually gives you your entire ad budget for the year. It shows you how to break it all down. If you want that, let's give that away, Travis. What do you think?
I think that'd be amazing. So all the things we just talked about, we have a tool to do for you. Wow.
Yeah. So if you're taking notes, drop your pen, pick up your keyboard, and type the word 10X in the chat, and we'll give you a copy of our 10X game plan. What that tool is actually designed to do is project your expectations on how to get a 10X return on your investment. It's not a guarantee. It's not a claim that you will get it. It's based on what we found to be true in the past. If you spend this much, if you follow this process, this is the type of budget you should be expecting. And these are the kind of numbers you should expect in return. And we use that in our program as a guide to know when to make changes. So when to know if something's broken in the process, right? Because not every process is perfect. I heard a great expression the other day. It said, all plans are perfect until you add people. It's so true, right? Not just you as the user, but also the students and the parents and everybody involved in the process. All plans are perfect until you add people. What a great expression. But this is just a plan to help you troubleshoot, basically, to help you plan, to say, this is what I should spend. These are my goals. This is how I should get there. And then if it's not working this way, then I need to address this part of the process. The tool does it for you. It's like an automatic calculations. I spent a ton of time programming this thing, kind of I downloaded my brain into it and just like made all these calculations. So you just punch in a couple numbers. There's a training that goes along with it. It's super easy to do. If you want it, just type the word 10X in the comments and we'll get that over to you.
Yeah, I love that tool too. If you're running your own ads, it's a key tool to make sure that you're spending what you should spend. And if there's something that, hey, I'm not fitting in, then we have processes to show you how to get those numbers to where they need to be. Or if you have someone else doing your ads for you, I would encourage you to comment 10X so you can put that in and you can take that to your agency and say, hey, this is really why haven't we gone? First of all, they should be going over these numbers with you. This should be a clear indicator. And this isn't a judgment on them. They have their own thing going on, but it's just another tool to equip you to make sure whatever you're investing your money in is a return on that investment. Because you have 2 things. You have investments and expenses. And if your ads are an expense, that's not helping your school grow. If they're an investment, then the key to helping your school grow. But you need to know these numbers to determine, is what I'm doing from a growth strategy an investment or an expense? So go ahead and type in 10X. Matter if you're running your own ads or you have someone else doing it, you need to know these numbers.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for accountability, right? You want to make sure that you're getting your return on your investment. So definitely type that in. Okay, let's jump into part number 2, which is what's the best offer? What's working now? I kind of spilled the beans on that already. to bring back an expression from the 1800s. Um, what's the best offer? What's working now? It's one offer, and it's a free week pass. So what's great about this is two things. Number one, sometimes it can be extremely time consuming just trying to sit down and figure out what am I going to offer as a special. And there's a lot of gurus out there, even some agencies that are like, look, we need to change the offer every month, or we need to change this, we need to follow the holidays, we got to do all this stuff. We've been running the same offer for 5 years in over 400 schools, and it's working right now. It worked back then. It worked before this, even when we did like direct mail campaigns and when we did parades. It's the same offer. It's just been repackaged to right now. Facebook is obviously the cheapest place to be advertising, but it works on Google. It works on the website. It's the same offer. And what that does is two things. It makes it easy to duplicate yourself in your school, because as you continue to grow, there might be a time when you're not actually able to do the intro, or there might be a time when you don't want to spend time running the ads. You want to pay someone else to do that, like an employee. Well, the process is the same for everyone. It makes it so easy. You don't have to retrain every month, because this is a growth barrier that we see sometimes, where a school owner has been so creative and they're so good at coming up with all these different offers in different ways that when they try to grow, they get to a point where they're like, I want to hire somebody to do the intro lesson, or I want to hire someone to do this. You can't duplicate all of that creativity into a new person. It just doesn't work. Systematic approaches to growth. There are certain times when it's amazing and great to be creative, when you're looking at your class curriculum, when you're looking at even an offer. Once they're in your school, you can kind of change up the upgrade, but the offer online, it saves you so much time to just have one offer that runs 365 days a year, that doesn't require any changing. And I get it. Like I've run into some school owners who are creative, and they're just like, I like coming up with new offers. I think it's fun to put a Santa Claus hat on my image and like then put an Easter bunny. Like they just love being creative, and they have all these like funny little catchphrases, and that's cute and clever, and that's great. But at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, since you're spending money on this, am I spending money to quench this desire to be creative, or am I doing this because I want to get students, right? Because there's plenty of other places that you can be creative that are actually a lot more fun to be creative in, because they don't negatively affect your bottom line. Whereas changing an offer all the time on Facebook, especially, is actually bad for the algorithm. And I know that's another fancy marketer word or a techie word, but all that is artificial intelligence, which is all the buzz right now, right? It's a learning mechanism inside of Facebook. Basically, the ad goes out, Facebook collects all this feedback by people either clicking or by looking at their interests or looking at other websites they visit. It takes all this stuff into account, and then it makes changes to who it shows the ad to, where it shows the ad, whether it's on Facebook or on Instagram or a different website. It makes all these changes like in this fraction of a second. And the more you introduce change, it just sends that thing haywire. The longer you can keep an ad running, it's actually this thing called optimization, where it gets better and better and better and better at finding the right people at the right time in the right process of decision making. And so the longer you can keep that offer running, the better. So you don't have to change holiday offers. You don't have to have a Christmas offer and a holiday offer and a 4th of July and a President's Day. You don't have to worry about it. If you love that stuff, you can do that in the conversion process, is what we're going to talk about next. But anything you want to add to that, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to kind of reiterate, creating all these offers and all this content can get exhausting. If you're passionate about it, keep doing it. Good for you. That's awesome. But I know for me, it's very time and mental. It's not even so much the time, it's the mental energy that it drains, that like the rest of the day, I'm kind of just like, my mind is like, hey, you used all the gas. Right.
Yeah.
So not only does it kind of do that to a lot of us, but it also hurts the algorithm. So it's really kind of hurting two things. And for some reason, we've been convinced that, no, this is a good thing. It'd be like if we were convinced McDonald's is health food. It's not a really good use of our money, and it's also hurting our body. So
Yeah.
it's like, wait a minute, let's just get rid of that. I no knock on McDonald's. I took my daughter there the other day, but it's just something that we want to make sure everything we're doing is benefiting us and benefiting our school. There's some type of a positive result coming from it. And if we can streamline that process and use that energy to be more creative with how we instruct and our curriculum and our plans, then how much more value is that going to provide to your students? That they're going to actually get the creativity that you're using on all these different offers into your instruction. And that's just going to be so much more valuable to your school and to your growth and to your community. So if you're getting value out of this, go ahead and just type value. We like to know, hey, is this helpful? We always assess. John and I meet every week, and we talk about, hey, is this something that's even useful to the people in our group? Because we want to.
Yep.
This is valuable to us. It is time consuming. It is mentally consuming for us, but we know that it provides value to you guys. So just go ahead and type value, so we know, hey, this is the stuff that we want in this group. These are the things that help us at school owners, as school owners. But so, John, we know our numbers.
Yep.
We have an offer that's consistent, so that also helps our numbers too. It's right; it eliminates a variable that could affect numbers. Hey, we know the offer is the same, so our numbers should be the same. There must be, some good clarity there with those
Mm,
things connected. But
that's a
it's
great
not
point.
just about running an ad. It's not just about getting leads. It's about ultimately what the name of this group is getting more students, right?
Yep.
So, what about that conversion process?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So I think there's two main things, two main pillars of having a good conversion process, and there's a lot of parts to it, but I think the two main ones are having a natural reason to get people into the door quickly, right? Because if you've got a lead online, that's wonderful and great. You have their name, email, and phone number, hopefully, from that lead. But getting them in the door is where the magic happens, right? So many school owners we talk to, if I could just get more people in the door, all my problems would be solved, right? So we need a natural reason to get them in because there's a lot of different ways you can structure that offer. But this is another reason why the free week pass is so amazing and valuable because it automatically creates a countdown clock, right? When someone asks for that free week pass on your ad, so they click the ad, they enter their name, email, phone number, you should hopefully be able to automatically send them a message, and that message should say something like this: "Hey, Susie, it's John over at the school, Johnny's Academy. Uh, I saw that you asked for a free week pass. It starts tomorrow. When would you like to come in? Tomorrow or the next day?" Now, that is such a natural way to set a countdown timer for 7 days, right? Because we know studies have shown over and over again. If someone opts into something online, if they give you their information and say they're interested online, that first week is the prime time because they're in that decision making process. We talked a little bit about this already, having that decision making process right lined up. So if you know that they're ready to make that decision to ask for that free week pass, now the next step in that process, the next step in that journey is to actually come in and get their first lesson. Well, if they think the pass starts today, which it does, your pass when they offer that free pass, it starts or tomorrow. You can say it starts tomorrow. Pass starts tomorrow. You want to come in tomorrow or the next day. It immediately counts down in their head and it reverses the objection. Now, the objection is not going to be, "Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to have time this week. I want to." The objection is going to be, "How can I get the most value out of this week? Because if I wait until next week to come in, I only get one day. But if I come in tomorrow, I have the whole rest of the week to enjoy this free thing that I got." So it reverses the value structure in the person's mind who's asked for that week. It's amazing how fast people will reply back. And then if they truly can't make it in the next week, they'll still reply because they're like, "Oh man, I want this value. You're taking away this value from me that I just asked for." And they're going to go, "Oh, I'm on vacation this week. I just saw this ad. And so I'm not going to be able to come in until next week." Simple reply is, "No problem. I'll reset the start date for you. When do you want to come in? The 14th or the 15th?" And you just start that conversation. You're the owner. You have freedom to change the start date, right? You can make an exception. And so that is how you get them in the door as quickly as possible. They want to make sure they get the value out of it. It starts a 7-day countdown naturally. Then it's not you pressuring them to come in. It's not you pestering them. It's just you reminding them like, "Hey, you asked for this value. Let me help you get it as fast as possible and get the most value out of it," because we know it's mutually beneficial for them to come in quickly, right? So that's the first part of the process is the natural reason for them to come in. The second part of it is to actually give them a natural reason. Again, I love the natural part of it. And it's like the organic version, right? Of sales. It's like no chemicals, no nonsense, none of the junk that the sales and the
Just
marketing,
two ingredients.
just just two
Yes.
ingredients, right? Simplified. And it's so much more it's a better way to nurture a relationship because at the end of the day, as a school owner, isn't it really just about the relationships? Your best students are the ones that after class you're going out to dinner with the parents, or after the parade you guys are sitting down and having some pizza together. Like it's not a business for just transactions. And because it's not that way, the relationship is really the thing that matters. And why start a relationship off like trying to trick someone or convince them of something that they clearly don't want to do. We just want natural reasons, right? We want to give
Yep.
them the incentive, and then the decision-making process lays itself out for us naturally. It automatically takes the people who aren't ready and just puts them over here on the back burner and lets them kind of simmer a little bit until they're ready. And
Yep.
then it takes the people who are ready right now to just easily make that decision without feeling pressure. And so the next thing is this natural reason to upgrade to a paid student on the first day.
Mhm.
So those are the two parts of the conversion process: are natural reason to get in the door quick, and then natural reason to upgrade to a paid student on that first day. Something you want to add to that, Travis?
No, I think as you know, we have this really all just dialed in, right? We have this all this stuff laid out in our system, whether it be your numbers like we talked about, or having the right offer, or a natural reason to get them in the door. Some of that stuff is actually automated, so that way you can focus on just teaching your classes. But then just having that natural conversation. I actually, I'm a part of a bunch of groups on business growth, and we're always looking for new strategies. And I see some people post in some of these groups like these long-winded transcripts of these conversations
Yeah.
where they've like overcome objections and kind of like, what do you say when I need to talk to my spouse? And then they like kind of Jedi mind trick them into signing up without talking to their spouse. I don't
Right.
want that.
No,
I don't want the first experience to be part of our program, them getting in an argument with their spouse, right? I just want to have
definitely
a
not.
natural conversation with somebody where they see the value in what you have and they want to be a part of it. That's really what we all, I think, are searching for. So that's what I love about this conversion process. And maybe you're kind of like, oh, what does that look like specifically? Or maybe my conversion process needs some tweaking. That's why we do those game plan calls. So
Yep.
if you've ever been on these live streams, we always say, hey, let's just figure out what's going on with you. Let's have a natural reason to have a conversation together. And if there is a natural fit where we can help you more directly, then great. If not, maybe we can point in the direction of something else. But that's really what that game plan call is for. So if you love what you're hearing, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. So just so we know, hey, this is what you want. This is helpful for you. But if you'd love to kind of look at, well, what does this look like for my school specifically? Or what parts of this process could I plug into my school for consistent growth?
Hmm.
Just type the word game in the comments. And that way we can just set up a game plan call. Usually it's about 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes typically, just to see, hey, what's going on? Maybe you just need, the 10X, or maybe you need a consistent offer. Maybe you need the whole thing, or maybe you just need a one piece to be able to get this thing, fired off for consistent growth for your school. And that's really what that goal is. And maybe that looks like us helping you more directly, or maybe it looks like just having a resource or a tool to get you there. So just go ahead and type the word game in the comments. And we really have all this stuff laid out for you:
Yeah.
numbers, offers, conversion process. So you can plug and play, customize to your culture and your community of your school, and really just get that consistent growth going.
100%. Yeah. I like to call them frameworks because it's not like cookie cutter. You just do this and that, but a lot of the stuff is pretty templated to where you can copy, paste, and then edit it to fit the culture and the feel of your school without it being too cookie cutter or looking
Right.
too much the same. So we are getting some questions about that natural reason to upgrade. So let me just I'll give you what the conversation sounds like. The student comes in for their free week. You've done class. You've done the first intro lesson. You've completed that. Once the lesson is over, you're high-fiving. Hey, good job. Had such a fun time in class. All right, that was great. You call the parents over and you say, hey, I see you're here for the free week pass. It's great. Little Johnny or little Emma could come into class all week. No problem, in their street clothes. We also have a different offer, which I think's better. And I'll let you decide, Mrs. Smith. Instead of a free week in street clothes, you can do a full month and you get this free either uniform or whatever you're wearing in class. You get this to take home with you tonight. That way, little Johnny or little Emma here feel like part of the class, and you get longer to try it. The full month is only $67, and you get to take home whatever it is you're giving away for free with you tonight. Which one's better for you? And you just basically give them the choice. And because what'll happen is, as well as we know, as soon as they come in the door and experience one class, first of all, that's the day they're the most excited to be there, right? You're never going to have them more excited than at the end of their first class because they're thinking of all the possibilities. They're thinking of all the cool stuff they're going to be able to do. They're thinking of everything, right? And then mom or dad is sitting on the side, probably watching class and seeing that probably their kid is the only one that isn't dressed the same as all the other students, right? And so if you give them that thing to take home with them that night as part of that month trial, immediately, first of all, the kid is going to be so excited to have costume or uniform or whatever it is you've got in class, they're going to be so excited about that anyway.
My
Uh,
daughter wanted to wear it to school the next day.
yeah, to
Yeah.
sleep in it, right?
Yeah. She wanted to
Yeah.
wear it at night, and then she's like, can I wear this to school?" I was like, gotta check dress code requirements." But that's how excited she was.
Yeah.
She already like made it like, "This is who I am. This is what I want to be."
Right, exactly. And so that's an important part of it. And then, and really what you do is you just let the parent decide. And what you'll find is if you do this right, just so naturally and simply, I'm telling you, literally, this is not an exaggeration. 90% or better will automatically take that upgrade right there day one. And the other 10% will never bother you again because they won't come back for that free week. They'll just be like, yeah, this wasn't for us. And that's fine. Because if 9 out of 10 of those people that come in the door, that's going to bring us back to that 1 out of 10 leads. It's going to, if your numbers are right and everything is working, the process is doing it the way it's supposed to do, that those 9 out of 10 are going to pay you on day one. And that money collected for those paid trials is going to pay for your ads. And if you know your numbers, you'll know it doesn't take many, right? Let's say your ad budget is $600 and your trial is $670. You only have to sell 10 in a month to pay for those ads. So,
Yeah.
and that's pretty easy if you're spending $600 on ads. So that's really the whole process. So hopefully that answers the questions about what is that actual upgrade process. It's super easy. And this is how our program works. Like, this is a little taste of the type of stuff that we do. But really we call it the student magnet, and it's really built and designed to give you a step-by-step process and fill in all the holes. So any questions you're probably having right now, they're all answered in the program. But here's the thing. We can't just post a link to join the program because it's not for everyone. We're not looking for everybody and their mother to sign up for the student magnet because we know that there's probably, what do you think, Travis? 30 to 40% of the people we talk to aren't ready for it yet.
Right. Yeah, it's about 30 to 40%.
And that's not a knock on them. It's just we understand the process, like you understand the process. There's probably some students who come in. Maybe you have a minimum age requirement for your school, right? And somebody comes in, they're like, "Oh, my 2-year-old is so advanced; they could definitely do what you're doing in class." And you bring that student in. Maybe you make an exception. You're like, "Yeah, let's see." And then they come in, and you're like, "No, not ready. Why don't you give me a call when they're 9?" So I mean, it's not a knock on anybody.
Yeah, well, and like technically, they just might not be mature enough to handle. Like there's just
Yeah.
different aspects. Everyone's in a different spot.
Yes, right. And there are certain things that we do in our program that some people aren't ready for yet, but we can help equip you. So even if you're not ready for the program yet, maybe you need to know what steps do I need to take to get there. And that's something that we love to point people to. That's what the game plan call is for. So if you've heard us talking about the game plan call, all it is just a way for us to assess, where's the trouble in the school? What are you having issues with? Is this something we can help you with in one of our programs? Or do we have some free resources that are going to help get you to the point where you're ready for the program? Whatever that is. Or maybe you're past it and you're like ready for one of our like higher level masterminds. We don't know until we get on the phone. And that's why we don't post links to join any of our programs. It's only through a quick game plan call. It helps us make sure that we're only getting success stories. Because if you look in our group, this is a pretty big group of people, and people aren't in here complaining about us. And we do a lot of game plan calls. Like this is an environment, a community it's a big group, but it's way too small for us to try and mess something up, right? To try and like sell something to somebody that they don't need or want. So we know that, and we're in a position now in our business where we have that ability and that freedom to be able to say, you're not ready, put your credit card away. Let's do this thing first, and then let's talk in 6 months or a year. So if you're ready for that and you just want to know like where you're at in the process, just type the word game, and we're happy to jump on the phone with you and dial that in for you. So, and if you know you're ready, type the word game, and then we'll just clarify, ask you a couple questions, and make sure. And that's all we really need to do. So, any other questions coming in, Travis? Any other thoughts or?
No, I think that's it. If you're on the replay, go ahead and type those questions in. Let us know, because we want to get that clarity for you as well. Just because you're on the replay doesn't mean we don't value. We don't want to get you the insight and the clarity for you. So go ahead and type those questions in. And I'm looking forward to talking to everyone next week on our live stream. Looking forward to talking to those that comment game. I'm excited to just keep providing value and helping you guys grow your schools.
Awesome. Sounds great. So last time I'll say it, just type the word game in the comments right now if you want that game plan call. We'll reach out for you. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. It's been an absolute great time as usual.
Yeah.
And hope you got some value and some clarity. That's what we're here for. And it's all we got. So we'll see you here next week, Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
See y'all.